I am excited to have you here. Before we get started talking about your books, can you just give me a little background to yourself, whatever you feel comfortable sharing on the internet?
Okay. Yes. So, like we just said, I live in Denver. It's a Denver mailing address, but I actually really live in Thornton. It's kind of weird how the how the county lines
Codes
work.
work?
Yeah, it's weird because we have a big Thornton sign out in front of our house, but that's Denver.
Okay.
I'm a Colorado native. I've lived here my whole life. I'm currently I have a day job, but I'm hoping to maybe retire toward the end of the year. I'm hoping and do my author career full time,
Oh,
which
that'd
is
be
what
awesome.
I'm hoping for.
Oh, I wish you luck on that. I'm excited to talk to you about your books. Before we get started, we have some people here joining. I'm going to put up their names and say hello to them all. Again,
Yeah.
I am talking to Rebecca Hendricks. If you have any questions for Rebecca, go ahead and put them in the comments, and I will try and get to as many as I can. We have, let's see who's joining us. We have Faith First join us. She says hello. We have Lori Chasco. She says hello, ladies. And we have Judy Taylor. She says hello. I like to bring the readers into our chat. We have Carol Newsom. She says hello. Carol Newsom, sorry. And we have Angela Christian. Hello, Angela. Good to see you here. And Karen Geeling. Oh, look what Judy says. She says, I lived in Thornton years ago. It's a small world.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it
It's a
is.
small world. And
It
then
is very much so.
it's scary at times. And then we have Belinda. She says hello. And I see a few questions, but we'll get to those in a little bit. Okay,
Okay.
Rebecca, let's start with, I want to start with book one, which
Okay.
is, I have it written down here, Hound Dogged.
Yeah.
That came out in August 2023. I've been doing my research.
Okay. Good. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah.
Number one, do you have a copy of the book next to you that we could see it?
I do.
Oh, yay. So this is book one. It's called Hound Dogged. Now, number one, when you started writing this book, did you plan on like being a series? Because there is a book two, which we're going to talk about also. But did you
Yes.
plan this on
Yes.
being a series?
Yes, I did. Yeah, I did. Actually, when I first started, thinking about getting it self-published, and I was talking to, some people about what that would look like, it was pretty big, and they're like, you actually have two books here. So they had me split them. And then they said, do you think you could go on? And I'm like, well, yeah, I could go on forever. So,
That's
but
awesome.
the plan is for there to be 4.
4 books. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Now, can you give us a little background on, let's start with book one, what it's about?
It takes place in 1958, a small town of Madison. It's about a group of young men who kind of different, they're just kind of unique, unusual friends get together and they form a rock and roll band during the birth of rock and roll.
Oh, wow. Now, do you have a musical background? Is that why you chose that subject?
I love music. I don't personally play an instrument, but I love music. I love to listen to it.
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of musicians.
Oh,
But
wow.
yeah.
And I read I think the blurb of book one, it takes place in the late 50s. Is that correct?
1958.
Now, why did you pick that era? Because of the rock and roll?
Yeah, I liked the birth of rock and roll. I thought it was a good place to put it because everything was just so much simpler then, and just such, rock and roll was such a controversial thing.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway,
Right. Yeah.
so
Now, does the book like have any triggers like drug use or anything like that? Because back then there was a lot of drugs back then.
I mean, yes, there is a character in the book who is struggling with some issues with that. Yes.
Okay. All right. That's good to know. What inspired this is your first book. Hound Dogs was your debut novel.
Yes.
So congratulations on
Thank
achieving
you.
that. To
Thank you.
say you're going to write a book and actually finish it and then go on and write another one is amazing. But when you started writing Hound Dog, what inspired you other than, the love of reading, love of rock and roll? Of course, there's going to be a plot in the book, but what inspired you to actually write this book?
Well, not to date myself or anything, but I wrote this story, or let's say a version of this story, when I was about 14 years old.
Oh, wow.
So it was, and I just decided to, revisit it. When I got older, I started to reread the series, and I never really liked how that first book went, because, like I said, it was a version of it, and I thought, what if I put it in the beginning, during the beginning of rock and roll, because that's such a fun, time, and so much was going on. So I thought, I'm just going to do it then, and I was rewriting it for myself, and then my husband really got into wanting to read it, and bugged me and bugged me and bugged me and bugged me. So I let him write it, and then he was like, you got to do something. You got to try to make this happen. I'm like, no, I don't. Because I had tried once before to start my author career in the 80s. But he was like, no, you gotta. So I did. And
good for you.
Yeah.
And then you went on to write book 2, which is A Hard Dog's Night. I love these titles, by the way.
Thank you.
And the covers too, which I want to talk to you about. Hard Dog's Night. You mentioned before we went live that you don't have to read these books in order. Is that correct?
Well, you don't, but I would highly recommend starting with book 1, because you miss so much. I've read some reviews where people have only started with book 2, and then they get confused by some of the names and some of the stuff, because there's some inside jokes that are going on, and
that they read in book 1.
Yeah, I mean, book 1 really is the foundation for the rest of the series. It really sets everything up, everybody's relationship, how the band forms in the first place, and you see all that struggle, and book 2 picks up with where the struggle from book 1 leaves off with, trying to.
So it sets the ground for the plot, the character.
Yeah. It's really the foundation of the house.
That makes sense, because I have series, and I say to readers, you can read them in any order, the Sabella series especially, but like you said, you're going to miss things. I recommend starting at book 1 and go all the way through. Do you have a copy of book 2 next to you?
Yeah.
Let me see that cover.
It's back here. Let me see if I can reach it without knocking a bunch of stuff.
That's okay.
Whoops.
Oh, she did it. She knocked it.
It's all right. At least I didn't knock a whole bunch of other stuff over.
Great covers. Now, did you design it? Because you are self-published.
Yes.
Did you design these covers?
Well, no. I mean, I gave the designer an idea of what I was looking for, and then they went from there.
I love the font. It shows.
Yeah, I do too.
For the covers, I want to just pop up a couple of questions that we're getting from readers. This one is, we're going to talk about the characters. Belinda says, do you base any of your characters on family members? Name them after real people. There's a couple of questions in that.
No, I don't name it based on my family members. No.
Is any of the characters based on anyone you know?
No.
Oh.
No.
I have a few characters of people that I do know, but I don't know them. They might pick up on it when they're, hey, wait a minute, that sounds a little like me. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Really? Yeah. You notice.
Yeah.
Lori wants to know, oh, wait a minute. Do you choose the titles or do your characters of the books?
I do. I mean, Hard Dogged, or Hound Dogged, excuse me, was just kind of a fluke, actually.
Just came to you?
Well, yeah, because I have a character in the first book. The group doesn't have a name. They don't have a name. And so this character, he's kind of goofy. So he named him just because he had to have a name because he was putting a flyer together. So he called him Johnny and the Hound Dogs.
Ah,
And I was just trying to think of something funny when I did that. When I wrote that, I'm like, what's the funniest thing I can come up with? A hound dog. Okay, I'll just put that. And then it just kind of stuck because I was really going to change it, but it stuck. And then when I was trying to think of a title, I was like, you know what? Hound Dogged. Because you know what it means to be dogged.
right.
I thought Hound Dogged, and that way it kind of gave a play and
And it reminds me of Elvis too, back in the day.
Yeah.
Nothing but a hound dog. So
Yeah.
there's a question down here. I think it's from Belinda. Forgive me if I'm wrong, but if I can find the question, but I probably can't right now. She was asking if you based any of the story. I think it said like Elvis Presley. Do you base any? Oh, here it is. Here's a question right here from Belinda. She's asking, did you base any of the book on Elvis?
No. I mean, there's some Elvis songs that are played, and the boys definitely listen to it, but that's it.
Yeah, he popped into my head as soon as I saw the title. I thought, oh, okay. And I knew right away the era too. Because of
Yeah.
the title, you knew when the book took place.
Yeah, and that's kind of why I did it that way.
Mhm.
Because of course, Elvis really did forge.
He did.
He really was the king of rock and roll. He really made it. He really bridged the gap and made it happen.
So you say you like music, you listen to a lot
Yeah.
of music. Can you tell us some of your favorites?
I listen to all kinds of genres of music. I like country. I like heavy metal. I like some heavy metal. I like some of the mainstream stuff. But I really like some of the older stuff from the 70s and the 50s and 60s.
I'm definitely the 70s. Definitely. And it does age me, but that's okay. I gotta
Yeah.
ask you, when you're writing, do you like to have music in the background or do you have to have silence?
I can have some music playing, although it tends to be distracting if I play music. It's usually I might have on some classical just because it's kind of doesn't get me going like this and
Right, doesn't
yeah, so,
tension in your seat. Well,
yeah,
I have music on, especially if it's, with lyrics, I find myself singing to the lyrics, not thinking
exactly.
about my book. So for
Exactly.
me, I have to have complete silence.
Yeah.
That's just the way I am. And look who's here. Desiree is here.
Hey, hi,
So hi Desiree, if you're still
Desiree.
with us, thank you for joining us. And thank you for connecting me and Rebecca. Let's go back to your writing techniques with the characters. But what I want to ask you, and I ask all authors this, are you a plotter or a pantser when it comes to writing your books?
I'm a pantser,
Okay,
but I
right in the
I
front.
do have an idea of where I want the story to go.
Okay.
Like I plan as in terms of like where do I see this ending? Where do I kind of see it? What do I kind of see happening? Just kind of like a little bit of a idea of, but I need to know where it's going to end up. Otherwise, I'm just going to be like, kind of trying to find that ending. But
Mhm,
I at least try to have an idea, and then little rabbit holes happen along the way.
mhm.
But yeah,
Okay. And do your characters talk to you as you're writing? Because I'm a pantser, my characters talk to me, and
mhm,
okay. So there's many of us where our characters talk to us.
yes.
As crazy as it sounds. Now, will they just pop in your head any time of the day and nighttime? Do they wake you up? I mean, how do they control you? Are they
Ah,
controlling?
yeah, no, it was funny because I had a chapter that I was struggling with, and I just couldn't get it to come out like I wanted it to do. And one of the characters in the book's name is Danny, and I just sat there for a minute and I thought, what would Danny do? There was the answer. I'm like, oh, okay. And so then I just finished the chapter
Oh, great.
because
And
I just knew once I said, what he do? Oh yeah, this is what he would.
he came to you and told you. You say you have kind of like an outline of the book, even though you're a pantser. and the characters lead the way.
Mhm.
Has the ending ever changed when book 1 or 2, where you kind of had it planned out, but then all of a sudden it takes a turn and you go with something else?
Maybe a little bit, but
Yes.
there's a part at the end of book 1 that I didn't see coming. Yeah.
Okay. I love it when that happens. That happens to
Oh
me,
yeah.
you
Oh
know.
yeah, that's the best. And then because that's the one thing I like about it, is because it's a surprise to me as well.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? It's like,
It's very
oh wow, this is so cool.
and if worse, I look at it like, if I'm surprised, then guaranteed my reader's gonna be surprised
Yeah.
too. If I have a reaction to what just happened, hopefully my readers react the same. And the reason why I'm a pantser, and I'm not sure if it's the same way, is that I don't like too many guidelines, because if I
Yes.
try and force the direction of a book, to me it feels not it feels fake. Um, I've tried plotting, it doesn't work. My characters get mad at me and say, "I'll never do this." So I just let them do whatever, and I don't question it. If
Yeah.
they tell me to go in this direction and this is gonna happen, then okay, okay. I just don't question it. I just follow their lead,
Yes.
and
Yes.
it tends to work out that way. It tends to work out good that way. And
Yeah.
when it comes to your characters, how many I would say main character, but how many characters does the story revolve around?
Too many. I'm serious. I mean, that's one of the biggest pieces of feedback I get, is there's a lot of characters.
Really? How
Uh
many? Do you know how many off the top of your
no. I mean, the Hound Dog starts out with 5, there's 5 guys. And then the Dice, who's their rival band, the rival group, has 4 members. And then there's Girlfriends.
Oh my lord, how do you keep track
Yeah.
of all these characters? Do you have a
Well,
spreadsheet or something?
yeah, I do. It's really been difficult with this, because I'm currently writing 3rd book,
Right, and you gotta keep them in line.
and it's this one has been quite the challenge, because I've had to kind of keep myself from going down rabbit holes and trying to keep everything kind of relevant, and so that it'll come together at the end. And it has been challenging. It's been kind of rough in spots,
I can imagine.
but it is coming together, and it's going to end really good. But I like having. It's hard to have a bunch of characters because people tend to get lost, but I like it because to me it keeps it exciting.
Yeah,
You're
and
not
you get
writing
to know more
about one
people.
person's journey, you're writing about several people's journey.
Right, and, you get to know all of these people throughout the series, which I think is because they grow, you get to know them better. Also, as an author, you get to know them better, and are all of these characters in both books, or are new ones introduced in book 2 also?
There are some new ones that are introduced, like for the Hound Dogs, they don't have a drummer in book 1. So book 2 starts out with them trying to find one.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Wow. Oh boy, you do have a spreadsheet though with the names and the hobby. I
Yes.
mean, that's what I do. I have a spreadsheet in Excel, and it'll be like, Jill likes black coffee, so and so drinks iced tea, so and so drives a Dodge truck, and that way, when I get to book 4, and what did Slater drive again? I just look on my spreadsheet. Oh, okay, he drove a Dodge truck.
Well, I did have a couple of characters, very small, insignificant, that I both gave the same first name to.
Whoops.
I was like, yeah, I do, and I just discovered it too. I was like, dang it.
Oh, that does sound weird. Speaking of names, how do you come up with X amount of characters' names? Where do you find your names?
Well, I tried to keep true to the decade. Um, but a lot of them I just kind of came up in my head, and then that kind of ended up being a problem because a lot of the names begin with a J or an M. I've had reviews about that. You have too many J names or too many M names. And I'm like, I'm sorry. Just they told me what their name was, and I didn't give it a second thought. But
Right, yeah. And did you have the titles of these books prior to sitting down to write, or did they come to you as you were writing?
Yeah, like I said about Hound Dogged, it just
Right.
kind of came together. And then Hard Dogs Night, I one day I was just happened to be driving to work and I was thinking what I wanted to, title. It had a working title that I actually didn't use, but because I got to think of, boy, they really go through a hard time in this book. And then I was like, oh yeah, like a hard day's night. We could
Hot Day's Night.
Hard Dogs Night. Yeah, so
Okay. And then book 3 you're currently working on?
mhm.
One thing I noticed too when I was reading up in your books, they're pretty big books. How many pages?
Yeah.
How many
Yeah,
pages?
they are, because there is so much going on, but but I also have to say, I mean, like, they're about 400 pages each,
Mhm.
but
But
see, the book's a pretty big book. Well, when you go into the pages, there's, like, a lot of blank stuff. There's a lot of blank plate
oh
space,
wow.
and
Okay.
the font is kind of a little bit bigger, and they have, like there's a lot of space between the lines.
Is it like double spaced?
Yeah, I'm guessing,
It's like double
because
spaced.
like, look at this. There's like a whole page here that's only has 3 lines on it.
Who formatted your book?
Uh, some people I was working with,
Hmm. Okay.
and it's like, so yeah, they look like they're gigantic, but they're also a quick read because a lot of these chapters are short.
I love short chapters in a book. I try
Yeah.
and write short chapters. I try to
Mhm.
write my when it comes to book styles, chapters. I tend to go with my preference, whether or not that's a good thing or not. But for me as a reader, I love, love, love short chapters, and I like bigger books. I don't like those tiny little paperbacks. I just can't handle
Right.
those.
Yeah.
I have like a 6 by 9. It's a good size. You can't fit it in my purse, but that's
Yeah.
okay. I don't read on the go anyways. So
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, yeah, I mean, I know that people do look at the page count and kind of go, ah,
I,
but
I
it's a pretty quick read,
yeah,
actually.
I was
So,
researching and I did check out the page count. I like to know how big the books are. I'm going to pause for a minute and let's check out some of these comments. I'm going to go up a little bit. I've been avoiding, or not avoiding, ignoring our audience. We have Patty here. She says, I have the 2 books you've written. Which one is your favorite and why?
oh wow, well, thank you, Peggy. That's awesome. I think I like book 2 because because there's a lot going on. Uh, and there's some characters that come into it that I really like.
Do you have a
They're my
favorite
favorites.
character? Do you have a
What?
favorite character? Do you have a favorite
Yeah,
character?
my favorite character is John. He's probably considered one of the main characters. He's fun. He's because he's free. He doesn't care what anybody thinks of him. He doesn't care what other people say of him. He does what he wants, when he wants, how he wants.
That sounds great.
And I just love him because I'm not like that. So
You're not
so
free.
yeah, I love that about him, and I love writing about him because he can just, he's very blunt, very straightforward. People tend to think he's got a really sharp edge, but he's guarded. He's very guarded and just kind of protecting himself. But he's really a good guy.
Do you ever find yourself arguing with the characters or just, I don't want to write this. I don't like what you want me to do or say.
There is some stuff like I have to dial back because, but
You
it's
just go
okay.
with most of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I found myself arguing, especially in the Sabella series. I had some really stubborn characters in there in that series. It's complete now, but I would just in my head be arguing with some of these characters, and it's just like, come on, let's just do this. But I just like talking and getting to know my characters.
Yes, I do
Um,
too. That's the best part.
it really is. And each time I read a book in the series, you just learn something new about them. Like, now you're telling me this now. Why didn't you tell me this in book 1? I just love it. Dana says, do any of your family members read your books?
Yes. Yes. My sister does, and
Oh,
my husband does. Yeah.
oh, good. Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if you answered this. I'm going to pop. Judy says, how do you choose the timelines on locations? I do want to ask you where the books take place.
They take a place in a fictional town called Madison. It's a small town in Indiana. Not far from Chicago. That's
Okay.
where it takes place.
And why did you choose Chicago?
I liked that area. I actually wanted to put Madison in Illinois, but there's already a Madison in Illinois, and it's toward the bottom of the state.
Oh,
So, but there, and I also chose Indiana too because of the steel mill. There is a steel mill that
okay.
they live close to.
Okay. Did you
So,
have to do, it's obvious you did research for Madison, and did you have to do a lot of research for the book?
oh yeah, yeah. I mean, I kind of had an idea of what the 50s were like. And, like we all kind of get their idea,
Mm.
oh, it's bubblegum and it's poodle skirts. But then when I really started to really start researching the era as an era, there
Mhm.
was a lot going on
Yeah,
other than just that.
it's like peeling away the layers of an onion. You find one thing out, and that leads you to something else, something else. Yeah, I get it. I haven't. The last two books I've written, I've done more research than all my other books, and for me, it's like you have to be accurate if you use a real town or whatever, because the readers will call you out, and the readers will.
Right.
They will
Yes.
call you out, and I'm a huge fan of historical fiction, but I'll never
Yeah.
write it because of the research. It scares the heck out of me. I'll read it until the cows come home, but don't ever ask me to write it.
Well, I have to tell you, you know, the internet is a game changer. I mean, I can remember,
Mhm.
because I've always loved to write historical fiction. And back in the day, you'd have to go to the library and you had the card catalog,
Yeah.
and you'd have to spend hours and hours and days trying to just find out one, even sometimes just one little simple thing. Whereas now it's kind of at your fingertips.
Oh, yeah, I
So
mean,
so it that really.
that's really true, it makes it a lot easier.
And I at first when I was like, "Gosh, I'm cheating." I felt like, "Gosh, I'm cheating," but, it's it is so nice to have the
It's all at
internet.
our fingertips. One of my I'm a huge fan now of Google Earth. I just my town,
Mhm.
if I'm going to a town in my book, I just Google Earth it,
Yep,
zoom in, okay, make a right here, left there, down there. I mean, the directions right there. I go to MapQuest. I want to get from A to B and put
exactly,
it in my
yeah.
it's we are spoiled when it comes to that part of writing a book. Let me see. Okay, I didn't say hello. She came on a little bit later. Tyler, Debbie Adrian Tyler is here. She says hello, hello.
Hi,
How,
Debbie.
how long does it normally take you to write? You've written two books since 2023. You're on book three. When did you start book three, and how long is it taking you to write?
Well, see, now book 3 has taken me longer than the other 2 because I really didn't have a skeleton for it, and I had an idea but I was really kind of starting out from scratch, and it's hard when you have a full-time job and you're trying to, do that, and then you have to, live your life, you have to clean your house and still do all that stuff. And so this one has been kind of a hard one for me, the third one. So it's taken me a little bit over a year so far. But
Oh,
I had a lot going on last year too. So
but you're getting
yeah.
there. You're
Yeah,
getting.
I'm getting there. Yeah.
And before we went live, you said you're close to finishing book three.
Yes, I am.
Congratulations.
I'm in the last chapters, which are the hardest because, well, just in terms of there's so much going on, and you're finally tying it together, and it's finally, you
Yeah.
know, the big moment.
The big finale. The big finale. Excellent. We're going to take a little break because we have a treat. You're going to read an excerpt from one of your books.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So yeah, and I'm not like really super awesome at this, so just just know that. Even though I thought I would read a little bit from Hound Dogged, the first book,
Great.
first chapter. I think it's the first or second. I think it's still part of the. Oh, it is part of the second. But I'm going to start in where the the band is getting ready to play they're at a like a spring celebration, like the celebration of spring. It's just like in the park, and people are there, having picnics and kind of just, playing games and stuff like that. It's nothing formal. They kind of are on a stage that basically some city workers just nailed some boards together.
Awesome.
And they're kind of off on the end of the park somewhere. And so they're just playing. So this is the break between sets. This is the part where James gets introduced.
Okay.
So it says, during the break, Patrick stretched his legs and leaned back against the tree. Jerry tried to remember where his fingers needed to be to play a G chord, and John was lying on his side, his head resting on his left hand. So what do you think, John? Am I getting it? Jerry said, strumming his guitar. Yeah, I noticed you sounded better today. Jerry smiled widely. I think he went look. Where's Stu? Patrick asked. I think he went looking for his friend, Jerry said. Guess he'll never make it back in time now, Patrick said, folding his arms. Hey, I think I see him coming, Jerry said. Patrick squinted. Who is that with him? His friend. It can't be, Patrick said. Why not? John said. He looks like a prep boy, Jerry said. What? A prep boy with Stu? No way, John said. Look for yourself, Patrick said. John sat up. Well, I'll be. Look at them fine threads. His loafers are shined so bright they reflect the sun, Jerry said. Prep boys always gotta look perfect, Patrick sneered. Stu and James walked up to the platform. Hey, fellas, Stu said. Where have you been? Patrick asked. Stu sat his hand on James' shoulder. I was looking for my friend. James here. James, meet the guys. This is John, Patrick, and Jerry. Hello, James said, giving them a smile that was not returned. You brought me a root beer, Stu? John asked. I got one for Jerry and me. Correction, you got one for Jerry and me, John said, taking the root beer from Stu. Stu opened his mouth to protest. Then he decided against it. So you're the genius that Stu's been raving about, huh? John said. Who, me? James said. I told him how smart you are, Stu said. He says you play the guitar like Chuck Berry. Hardly. So you don't play then? John asked. No, I do. I mean, I can pick out a few tunes. He's just being modest, Stu said. Stu? Hey, he's one of the best I've ever seen. Stu is such a kidder, James said, slugging Stu in the arm. You know, if he's that good, maybe he could take just a few things, Patrick said, crouching down next to John. Maybe he should play us a tune. What do you think, John? Hey, now, wait a second. I just came out here to watch you play. I never said I wanted to play. Are you afraid? John said. He's afraid he might blister his baby smooth fingers. Patrick scoffed. Bet he doesn't know the G chord, Jerry said, puffing his chest out. He's not afraid, are you, James? Stu said. James's eyes darted from one to the other, words trapped in his throat. Patrick stood up. Stu's right. He's not afraid. He's just a chicken. James narrowed his eyes. I'm not a chicken. John jumped off the platform. Good. Let's see what you can do. But I don't have my guitar with me. You can use mine, John said. You seriously expect us to play with this cream puff? Patrick said to John. You're the one that wanted to see him play. Let's see what he's got. He will make us look like a bunch of idiots, Patrick protested. Give him your guitar then and I'll play, John said. What? You're telling me to sit one out? It's your choice. Look, fellas, Patrick chuckled. If you're willing to look like an idiot, who am I to stand in your way? But I want Jerry to play my guitar, and he can play Jerry's. Jerry frowned. I don't want him to play my guitar. Sure you do, Patrick said, placing his arm around Jerry. It sounds so much better than mine. It does? Fine, but don't snatch it, Jerry said, reluctantly handing his guitar to James. Have fun, Patrick said, walking away. Come on, you two. Time's a wasting.
Thank you so much. I enjoyed that. How old are the boy? How old are the guys in the book?
They are 19. They're all in college except for one.
Okay.
Danny's 17.
I enjoy books with dialogue, a lot of dialogue. I think it just puts more emotions into the book versus description. I'm a huge fan of dialogues in book. You can show a lot of emotions when it comes to the dialogue. So I enjoyed that because it was a lot of dialogue.
Well, yeah, I mean, that was kind of like the middle of the chapter. There is more like description stuff toward the beginning of the chapter, of course.
No, I enjoy it. I enjoy it. You read very well, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
You read very well. I'm going to put up some comments from our readers just to back me up here. Thank you. That was great. Thank you from Barbara Miller. She says, thank you for reading. Alicia is here. She says, thank you for reading to us. It sounds great. Lori is here, and she says, thank you. Okay, I see some questions I want to pop up too. One is from Belinda. Do you get reader's block? I've heard of writer's block, but not reader's block. That's a new one to me, Belinda. Reader's block is what you don't want to read. Is that what it is? I'm not sure.
She probably means writer's block.
I don't know. I've never heard of reader's block. But we'll switch it to writer's block. Do you ever get writer's block?
Yeah, like it's like there's times when, like, if I'm writing, I have to feel it. I have to be in there. I have to be in that space. I have to be there. Mm-hmm. Otherwise it ends up coming out really sloppy. Like they say, oh, you're supposed to write, X amount of hours a day, and no matter what, you're supposed to write. And I'm like, some days I just, like, I think it was last week I was trying to write a chapter and I wasn't feeling it, and I just couldn't get it to come out right. So I set it aside, and then the next day I came back and I was like, oh, okay. And then it was gone. I mean, I wrote the rest of it. I really have to feel it. I have to just feel the.
Right. And I actually did a little video on this just the other day, because I used to be one of those. I have to write no matter what. Da 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 da. I still write every day, but I don't force it. If it's not there in the morning, then I'm going to go about my day. And I'll get there maybe at 2 o'clock, maybe at 4 o'clock, maybe at 5 o'clock. But it took me 17 books later not to be so hard on myself. It's like if I didn't write, between 5 and 7, then, boom, 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 boom. I was really hard on myself. But now because the thing is, if I try and force it and then I go back to it the next day and reread what I wrote, it's horrible, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And it sounds forced. It doesn't sound natural. It doesn't sound part of the book, and I have to rewrite it anyways.
Well, it's like you said, it's like I don't hear the character voice when I try to force it. I don't hear the characters. I don't hear the voice. I don't hear.
You don't listen to them.
Yeah, and so it's like I'm like, gosh, and then I'm sitting there going, well, I don't know what to do. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know what he says. I don't know, It's kind of like, why am I even? So I've learned to, like, take a break, step away, put it aside, do something else, or
Yeah, that's what I do now, because like it's twice the work. And Belinda is just confirming she meant writer's block. So
yeah, I was pretty sure that's what she meant.
Yeah, and then a few more from your reading. She says, "I loved your reading."
Thanks, guys.
And there's some more up here I want to put up from readers with your reading. Judy says she loved it. Elaine is here. Hey, Elaine. She says, nice. Question from Peggy. How long do you usually write before stopping?
I write I try to write, tell an end of a chapter or an end of a part of that chapter. So I don't know, maybe a couple hours a day, maybe.
Yeah, because you work full time too.
Well, yeah, and it's hard too because, like you were saying about the hour thing, there's I've also heard, well, you just write, and then you go back and fix it. I can't do that
Mm-mm.
because that, like you said, that's twice the work.
Twice the work.
And
I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I'm just going to say, and if you're writing garbage, what good is that? What good does that do you?
Exactly. And another, I'm still staying on the thing of writing techniques. We know you're a pantser. You listen to your characters. You don't force yourself to write. The other thing I wanted to ask you is, when you're writing, say you're on chapter 4, and then the next day you're going to work on chapter 5. Do you ever go back to chapter 1, 2, 3, and 4 and reread what you've written, or do you just keep writing? Me, I don't go back. I wanted to see what your technique is.
Well, because part of my problem is because I've got so much going on that sometimes, like, I'll be writing about the Hound Dogs, and then I'll go back to the dice, and it's like, okay, now what what did so and so say? What kind of, but I'll have to refresh my memory. But yeah.
So you go back and reread?
Sometimes I have to if I don't remember exactly where it left off.
With all your characters, that makes sense to me, because you have to keep them in line,
Yeah.
to make sure they're on the right path, the same path as they were in chapter 2. For me, I started this book I'm writing now. I started it, I think, in October, and I'm now in chapter 37. I've not read chapter 1 since October. I don't even know what it's about.
Well, okay. Yeah.
Well, I take that back. I did read it on a live chat one time with my readers. I do a solo chat once a month, and I think I read the chapter then, just to give them an idea of the new book, but I haven't gone back since. And my reason is because if I start going back, I will spend the next 4 hours changing everything and editing and throwing things.
Yeah.
So for me, I mean, I don't have as many characters as you. I would just keep writing, get the bones of the story, and then I go back, clean it up. And I also want to read the whole book continually.
Right.
So that's how I do it.
Actually, I've been working on a lot of editing right now, and I read the chapter the other night that I hadn't looked at for and I was laughing because I forgot about this one part. So I was like, well, it must be pretty good if I'm laughing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And the other thing I like to do, I'm not sure if you like to do this too, but before it goes to my editor, I've cleaned it up. I've done as much as I can to the book. Before it goes to my editor, I will read the whole book out loud.
Yes.
I will read it, not all in one session, of course, but 1, 2, 3. And it's amazing, even after going through the book numerous times, thinking I've got everything, I've cleaned it up as good as I can, what you find when you read it out loud. And that I didn't discover until about 5 books ago. Someone told me, you got to try reading it out loud. I'm like, really? And it amazes me because, when I'm reading a sentence, when I'm reading a sentence and I have to stop, it's like, what word in that sentence, made me stop? There's something in that sentence that's not flowing.
Well, I use Word. I use Word still, but
right.
it has a feature that will read it aloud to you.
I tried that, but I like hearing my voice, I think. But I have tried that. I don't know if it's because to me it sounds kind of robotic.
Well, yeah, it does, but it kind of helped me because I could pick up when there was rushing or there wasn't a pause or it sounded wonky.
Right. Have you ever tried, what is it, speech to text? Have you ever?
No.
I haven't either. I was just curious. I did try it. I was messing around just to see how it was. But I have a bloody accent, as they say. And speech to text was just not understanding half the stuff I said. So I said, okay, that's not going to work. But a lot of authors use it, and they absolutely love it. They really do. They do.
One thing that I saw kind of flying by a while back was something about animals. And I do have to say that there is a dog in the second book, Hard Dogs Night. His name is Buddy.
I did see that question. I wanted to go find it about.
I love Buddy.
What kind of dog?
Buddy is a mutt.
Oh, okay. And whose dog is it?
He belongs to Ronnie.
Okay. And he's in all the books?
No, he doesn't come in till book 2.
Oh, okay. Do you think you'll have any more animals in the series?
Um, Possibly. There's a cat. There's the shelter, because Buddy starts out in the shelter. But there's a cat there. The resident cat at the shelter. His name is Mr. Pickles.
Oh, okay. I like that name. Mr. Pickles the cat. I like that. Leisha's asking, I think you answered this question. We're going to pop it up for Leisha. She's asking, do you play any instruments?
I do not.
Do you think you will ever? Do you have an urge to play one?
My problem is I kind of have Jerry's problem. In Hound Dogged, I'm too slow. I can't, and my fingers are so small, and so I have a hard time stretching. And I know it's muscle memory, and it takes a lot of dedication and time, and maybe I could get it, but it's too frustrating for me, and I can't. And even on a piano or whatever, I just get too frustrated because I can't move fast enough to
play the tune.
Yeah.
For me, it's a time issue. I mean, I did play the harp when I was in school for a couple of years.
Oh,
but
cool.
I always wanted to learn to play the guitar. And my husband bought me a guitar about 3 or 4 years ago. I have yet to learn how to play it. And it's a time issue with me. I would love to just find a few hours a week just to sit down and study the guitar. I'd love to learn how to play it, but I have not done it yet. And for me, it's a time issue, but maybe one day. Maybe one day.
So Belinda says, do you sing? Yes, I do.
Do you?
Am I on key? Well, that's another thing.
I tried when this is back in the school days, I tried for the choir. And the response from the music teacher was, maybe you should try and play an instrument instead of sing. I'm like, wow, okay, then I guess I can't sing. So that's when I got into the guitar. I mean, not the guitar, the harp. I ended up playing the harp just for a couple of years. And it's funny because my dad, he insisted that me and my sisters play an instrument. He wanted us to learn how to read music, blah, 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 blah. So my sisters, they chose a recorder. Simple little instrument. You put in the satchel, as we call them in England, a satchel. So what did I learn to play is a harp. And my dad had to pick me up from school on Fridays to put the harp in the car to take it home so I could practice on weekends. And he's like, you had to pick the biggest bloody instrument, didn't you? But oh well.
That's awesome though.
Yeah, it was. I did it for a couple of years. I mean, if I ever tried to play it again now, I'd have to take a refresher course. There's just no way.
For I think it was the book bash, the beach book bash for books that make you. I played this.
Oh, that's cool.
And I mean, not very poorly, but I did like the Summertime Blues.
That's cool. I like that. I couldn't even play that one either. And then Lisa puts up, she says, I've had a guitar for about 17 years. I started learning on it, but then I just stopped. Poor guitar is just sitting there. I know the feeling, Lisa. I know the feeling. I will one day. I tell myself that, and I will. Belinda says it's cool you can sing. Me, I can't sing. There was a question here. I'm not even going to try and look for it. We have a lot of comments, but a reader was asking, when you're not writing, working, what is something you like to do other than writing and reading?
Well, my husband is a photographer, and we'll go out and do some urban exploring. That's really fun.
Oh, that sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Like hike and things like that?
No, it's basically you go out and you find like abandoned buildings and you take pictures of them. We've been to some ghost towns and stuff like that.
That's great inspirations for future books too.
Yeah. 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 Yeah, we have a lot of fun. He's a photographer. So he likes to go out and take pictures of that kind of stuff. And so do I, actually.
What fun. That sounds fascinating. I love that.
Fun.
I do. How about travel? Do you travel a lot?
No. No. I mean, we'll go on a summer trip. Like, it's fun to go out to the Eastern Plains because there's a lot of cool abandoned stuff out there. I know that sounds funny. But yeah, we like to go to Kansas and stuff like that. I am going to be part of a book signing in LA in April.
Oh, the book festival?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was there last year. I won't be able to make it this year, but have you been there before?
No, this has been my first time.
It's huge. It
Yeah.
looks like a blast. And Desiree has a great booth.
Yes, she does.
She really does.
She's awesome.
Yeah, if I happen to make it there, I will definitely come by the booth. But I'm not sure if I'll be able to make it this year. I had a booth last year, I loved it. It was so much fun. It really was. I have an event in April in local. It's a Bloomfest that I'm doing up here. So I'm not sure I can get down to the LA one. But if I do, I'll definitely swing on by.
Yeah, I'm anxious to meet her. I've never met her before. I'm really anxious to meet her. She's really awesome. She's been my mentor.
Yeah, she is a sweetheart. And what she does to bring readers and authors together.
Yeah.
She's incredible. I admire her a lot too. So I definitely keep that in mind. If I get down to the LA, I'm about 2 hours away from it. So
okay,
yeah, I won't not say local, but yeah, 2 hours away. So
yeah,
I'll definitely try and come by if I get there. Lori. Oh, Lori says she asked about the hobbies. Thank you, Lori. I did see the question. I just didn't know what it was. Barbara says, oh, wait a minute. My computer. There we go. Barbara's saying ghost towns would be fun to visit. I have a book. It's Ghost Towns of California.
Ooh.
And there's a few that we've been to, but I didn't realize California has so many ghost towns.
We want to go to Bodie. That's our one that we really want to go to.
Is that in California?
Uh-huh.
Oh, see, I don't know that one. But we do have a book, and they are fun. So that'll be good. Back to your books. You've written 2 books. The third one you are almost finished with. You don't have a release date yet, but with the 2 books that are out, can you let the readers know where they can find them and in what formats?
Yeah, they are. Both of them are available on Amazon, ebook or paperback.
Okay. How about Kindle Unlimited?
Yes.
And KU also?
Yes.
And that works that if you have a membership with KU, I think it's like $9 a month, you can read quite a decent amount of books with your membership. So I love Kindle Unlimited. I have all my books in Kindle Unlimited. So it's good to know that. And how about a website where people can find you?
It's RebeccaHendricksAuthor.com.
Okay.
You can go visit there. You can sign up for my newsletter. You can get if you sign up for my newsletter, you get a free download of like a kind of like a little short prequel type of story about how John and Patrick meet and Jerry, how they all meet. And then I'm also on Instagram and Facebook, Rebecca Hendricks Author.
Perfect. Excellent. My final question for you. It's been a great chat, by the way.
Yes, it has been.
It's been a great chat. I got a final question for you, then we'll talk about the giveaway. But my question for you is, what's one piece of advice you would give to a writer that wants to become a published author?
Don't give up. I mean, it's hard, and there's going to be times when you want to throw your typewriter out, or I guess it's your computer out the window. Right. But you just have to really, because hang in there. It's a long journey for sure. It's a marathon, not a race. Mm-hmm. And just hang in there and make it happen. It was my dream. And there's just nothing better, Well,
congratulations.
Don't give up hope. Don't ever give up hope.
You're doing it. And we do have a couple of giveaways this evening. Rebecca, what is your giveaway?
Hound Dogged, a copy of Hound Dogged.
Book 1?
Yeah, book 1.
Perfect. What I would do, you've asked me to pick the winner for you. So after the live chat, I will go ahead and announce the winner on my author page and in the readers group in a few hours. And then we also have the $5 Amazon gift card. And that is for the readers. If you go to the author page and share this video, Share it on your favorite pages and your favorite book groups on Instagram. Wherever you want to share it, but do tag me when you share this video, and that way I know you shared it and you are entered into the drawing for the gift card. Rebecca, this has been a great chat.
Yes, it has been.
Thank
It's
you.
been awesome. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, it's been
It was
a lot.
so fun. You have some great people on here. I like how they're all interacting. That's
Oh
really
yeah,
fun.
they're great people, and they ask great questions. Readers, as always, thank you so much for joining me. I will be back in the group this evening to announce the winner, and in a couple of days, this chat will be on the podcast. Do you have any final words, Rebecca, before we go?
Yeah, I just really want to say thank you, everybody. This has been awesome just to kind of see the people that are, commenting and are involved. I think it's really awesome. It's great because to get some kind of like conversation like this going, because usually you're sitting at your desk by yourself and quiet.
Yeah, and I love doing the live chats because I love interacting with the readers and getting their feedback.
Yes,
and picking your brain for questions that I might not think of.
exactly.
Makes my job easier.
Yeah.
But thank you everybody for joining us. Have a great night, and I will see you back in the group.